In November 1970, a father and his two daughters were hiking through a remote, rocky expanse of Norway's Isdalen Valley. Following a strong smell, they stumbled onto a disturbing scene: a woman's burned body, lying among the stones. The remains were heavily charred, but scattered around her were several oddly placed items. Investigators found a partially melted umbrella, a pair of rubber boots, several bottles, and jewelry that looked as though it had been deliberately arranged around the site. The autopsy introduced immediate contradictions. The coroner found significant quantities of sleeping pills in her stomach, but also carbon monoxide in her lungs. She was still breathing when the fire started. This evidence put police in a difficult position. The brutality of the fire made it a highly unusual suicide, yet the remote location and absolute lack of any signs of a struggle made it difficult to categorize as a clear-cut murder. As investigators moved from the body to her personal effects, the absence of information became absolute. She carried no wallet, no driver's license, and no passport. A closer inspection of her belongings revealed something more deliberate. Every single tag, label, and manufacturer's mark had been meticulously cut out of her clothing. The investigation instantly shifted from a standard cause-of-death inquiry into a hunt for a ghost. Police were now trying to identify a victim who intentionally left zero paper trail. The Isdal woman did not accidentally lose her belongings in a fire. Someone, either the woman herself or her killer, systematically dismantled her physical identity. Days later, police caught a break. They traced 2 suitcases left in a railway station in Bergen directly back to the dead woman. Instead of a passport or family photos, the suitcases contained multiple wigs, non-branded cosmetics, and various items commonly used to alter a person's appearance. Notebooks hidden among her clothes were filled with handwritten alphanumeric codes, strings like O18, P32, and B26. When cracked, police realized the cipher was a precise record of her extensive travel across Europe. The lockers in Bergen held no answers about who she really was. They held a toolkit, carefully assembled to help her cross borders while remaining entirely anonymous. Armed with the translated travelogue, investigators tracked her path through various European hotels. They found she never registered under the same name twice, checking in as Genevieve Lancière, Claudia Tielt, and a host of other forged aliases. Hotel staff recalled a specific pattern of behavior. She paid her bills in cash, frequently requested room changes, and silently observed other guests while appearing highly anxious. This constant movement took place at the height of the Cold War. Norway sat in a highly sensitive geographic position, directly bordering waters and territories monitored by both NATO and the Soviet Union. When military officials reviewed the decoded dates, they found a distinct pattern. Her movements precisely mirrored the locations of classified weapons testing across Norway. Forged passports, ciphered diaries, and proximity to military sites all pointed to one conclusion: she was operating as an intelligence agent. Decades later, cold case investigators turned to tools that didn't exist in 1970. A person can burn their passport or fake a signature, but they cannot forge the physical makeup of their own bones. This diagram illustrates how forensic experts used isotope analysis on her unusual dental work. As a child grows, the chemical composition of their teeth absorbs specific signatures from the local water and soil they consume. The chemical tests on her teeth strongly indicated she spent her childhood somewhere in Central or Eastern Europe during the 1930s and 1940s. Science managed to pinpoint the region where she grew up, piercing through the elaborate backstory she had constructed, but it still couldn't put a name to her face. The investigation is still trapped between 3 conflicting explanations. The massive dose of sleeping pills heavily suggests suicide, but people taking their own lives rarely go through the trouble of removing clothing labels and logging their travels in cipher. The blunt force bruising on her neck supports the idea of a homicide, yet investigators never found a confirmed suspect, a definitive motive, or physical evidence of a struggle at the burn site. That leaves the espionage theory. The wigs, the codes, and the military proximity match the profile of a Cold War agent perfectly. However, in over 50 years, No intelligence agency from any nation has ever officially acknowledged her. The absolute thoroughness of her identity erasure prevents investigators from definitively proving any of these three theories. There is simply no baseline of truth left to prove how or why she died. She managed to cross international borders, sleep in highly trafficked hotels, and move through multiple countries for months without leaving a single piece of verified paper behind. Long before digital surveillance, before facial recognition and ubiquitous security cameras, she achieved total anonymity. She died a real-life ghost, having accomplished something nearly impossible. She completely removed her own history from the world. Her anonymity remains the central fact of the case.